That would be because my microphone was completely off. There's my kettle, as I was mentioning a moment ago. One moment. Hello, my good sir. How's it going, Iridium? How's it going, a Sentinel? Glad that you're both here hanging out. How's the weather out there? Honestly, it's been bipolar. We've had crazy intense wind and then sunshine later in the day. So it's been weird. I think my camera got moved. How far off is mine? So I'm gonna have my head probably here. I'm just double checking because I think my camera... There we go. I moved it just a scooch when I was doing Sons of the Forest on Friday. And I was like, I probably didn't move it back. Yeah, I got some space now. Cool. Well, the weather must be super crazy. Yeah, it absolutely is. Especially regarding my chickens. So I have 2 chickens. I've actually had them on stream before. If you ever tune into like the Friday horror stuff that I do in the mornings. I've had my chickens on before. I had it on Wednesday for my birthday stream last week. And yeah, they're a nuisance. They're nightmarish creatures. But yeah, I saw you when I was streaming. Yeah. But yeah, so the weather's been nuts, especially given the fact that I have these chickens that exist in my backyard. And the wind will do many things. It will blow them up into the sky because they fly, and so when the wind goes, they try to get away from it by flying, as well as just knocking their gate open. So it's a lot to deal with, but they're fine. I love them. So I'm gonna hop in here because I actually have some stuff to work on. This is the stuff that we worked on last stream. I'm gonna zoom in here so we can kind of take the loop around. One is it was requested Joey Wheeler from Yu-Gi-Oh! Being a milk drinking nerd. I will say immediately after this stream I did go and get milk because I believe 1-1 suggested this. I could be mistaken. It was either 1-1 or it was Trainer. But one of them requested this, and it was then requested to give him an Ahegao face, and it turned out I was saying it wrong my entire life. So we did so. We also drew the Hindenburg, and I went ahead and decided to make it that meme as well. Also decided to do a PTSD-stricken Big Bird last stream, given the conversation. Oh, thank you, Iridium. We had a ton of fun. I'm hoping we get some really good requests. Think about requests as I'm giving us the rundown here. PTSD-stricken Big Bird off of the story that Big Bird was meant to be on the Challenger, which is a shuttle that exploded in the 90s. I could be so wrong on that. He was supposed to be on it. Last minute, they kind of pulled the concept and were like, nah, we're not going to put Big Bird on it. And it was the world of where Big Bird is the lone survivor of the Challenger explosion. We drew a Ron Swanson as a dwarf, the mythical creature, and we also drew Monkey. As I said a moment ago, the premise of when I think of monkeys, I think of things that rip people's faces off. So I drew a terrible, terrible monkey. And then I drew a Sour Lemon. And that's pretty much what we got last time. We had a couple things here and there, but that's what we got. Today, I'm also going to be doing some requests. So if you have a request, let me know and I'll hop over onto my requests page. I'm going to go ahead and collapse that folder and hide it so we have a blank canvas. I say good job, buddy. Thank you so much, Iridium. My dog's going nuts, and I'm hoping it stops soon. I'm also hoping you can't hear it. But today, what I have is actually this, as well as, like I said, requests. So as requests come in, we'll go ahead and do those. I got a commission to do some Pokemon-type stuff. And the idea was that I was given some sketches, so these are not my sketches, and to kind of legitimize them, make them feel more Pokemon-y, as well as color them in. So we're going to see how far I get before my pens crap out on me like they have been. I already have a new tablet picked out, which I'm very excited for. Ooh, I do not have my pressurized brushes. Look at that. Yeah, I don't have my pressurized brushes. By the way, what did you think of me dying from the battle I was facing? I thought it was amazing. In case anyone watching isn't aware, Iridium streams and currently has been streaming Kingdom Hearts 3. I didn't catch the tail end of your stream to see if you actually defeated the character, but I don't know anything about Kingdom Hearts 3, so I'm just going to say that about any of the Kingdom Hearts stuff. But I didn't actually see if you did. Did you manage to defeat your mortal enemy? Excited to see what you do. New tablet, you said? Oh yeah, I'm going to be getting a new tablet soon. I've already got one picked out. I desperately need a new tablet. It's getting to the point where it's becoming harder and harder to even function. You died a lot of times. Oh, yes you did. Oh, yes you did. Okay, yeah, 3 rocks. It looked like a ton of fun. Like, as you know, a Sentinel, I'm not super up to date on Final Fantasy stuff, but Iridium did a great job. I super loved getting to watch them do work. Even dying, they made it very entertaining. I'm gonna go ahead and just give us here. I like that nice smoothness, but I do like the chunk in the front, so I'm gonna give him some chunk. I was given the opportunity to do some liberties with this. Kingdom Hearts is a trip. I've heard that it's like one of the most convoluted like stories in existence, and that's one of the reasons that I've been so scared to get into Kingdom Hearts. So I've been living vicariously through Iridium as they've been playing. I tune in when I can. I wish I could tune in a little bit more, but I do tune in where I can. Life has been hectic lately. Like I said, I ended up not doing a drawing stream this last Friday because I had a wedding I had to go to. Not had to. It was a joy to go to. But there was a wedding I was at. Beautiful wedding. Beautiful, beautiful wedding. They don't watch, but it's important to me that I get that out. That it was a beautiful wedding. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts. I hear really good things. It just, the concept of it being a convoluted story, it's one of those things where I feel like, being that I didn't get in on the ground level, it would be harder for me to take part. But like I said, Iridium made it look like a ton of fun. Beating the data battles is like no cakewalk. It's like so hard. Took so many attempts to get this far. Did you end up beating that character? Like I said, I didn't catch the tail end of it, but I saw you working your ass off to get as far as you did. I know that Cloud is a character, as is Sora. That could all still be completely wrong. Is Cloud a character? Is Sora a character? Sora's a character, I know that. Sora's the main character, alongside Mickey Mouse. The lack of knowledge that I have on pop culture things is astounding. Not really. I stopped and played Spyro 3 for a bit. You know where Spyro lives in my heart. It's a hard entry for sure if you don't want to tuck in. I'm assuming that is. Yeah, that's the thing is, for me with games, and I know that this shouldn't be the case, but it sadly is. I feel like if I don't get in on the ground level for it, it's a lot harder for me to find enjoyment, because I just feel like I'm trying so hard to catch up to where everyone else is, and with stuff like that, I'm like, you know, Cloud is a Final Fantasy VII character, but appears in Kingdom Hearts. Like that type of stuff, where it's like, I only very recently learned that Kingdom Hearts is a Final Fantasy attachment, and for me that made it just a little bit harder, because again, I'm at that point I feel like I have to understand multiple franchises, which is fine. It feels like a lot for me. I'm a big story person, and I love story. I love getting to see characters grow and change, and I love getting to experience the story. And I feel like, one, it's hard to talk to people. Like, if something exciting does happen, I'm so far behind everyone else. It's like wanting to talk about like what's an old franchise or old movie. It's like wanting to talk about there's a joke. There's a comedian makes a joke. They're talking about Jim Gaffigan. It's like, I just saw Heat. It's like, Heat? That's not a new movie. It's like, yeah, but I want to talk about it now. That's how I feel, where it's like, hey, will people make the sacrifice to talk to me about this thing that you all have been knowledgeable about this whole time. You know, so it just, I don't know, it's rough, and I know I shouldn't feel that way, but I do. That's why, I don't know, it's understandable. I just played it for fun, and it's fun. Yeah. Did you, were you into it, like, before? Like, you say you were just playing it for fun, but I'll ask, like, were you a Final Fantasy fan or a Kingdom Hearts fan before playing it, or you were just playing it to play it, to get into it? You'd like Final Fantasy IV, I know you played a bit, but like you said, it's such a deep entry point, it's hard to ever catch up. Yeah, no, the when I played it, and when I played with you, Sentinel, I had a great time. It was just, for me, it's like the thing of, I don't want to ruin anyone else's fun. It's several things, and that's where I know that it's a me thing. For Final Fantasy, it's several things. It's, I have a hard time when other people know the game, because for me it's like, I keep saying it's like, so I feel like I'm holding people back when I play with them, like they're having to hold my hand, and I don't want to ruin anyone else's fun, but at the same time I want to understand at such a complex level. I want to understand the complexity that everyone else understands it at, but I have no ability to get there because it's been so long that it's been out, you know. So it becomes this constantly repeating cycle of, I can't play it because I would want to play it with somebody, but if I play it with somebody, I'll feel like I'm holding them back, and I don't want to hold anyone back, and I can't talk about it because I feel like people are having to like censor themselves to not spoil anything for me. So it's that's where it gets hard for me. And so given all that, it becomes difficult for me to find a level of enjoyment in a game like that. I think honestly, way before I didn't know much of Kingdom Hearts until I got the collection. Maybe I'll do something like, having the stream is a great excuse to at least like, okay, let me try to play this and try to understand it, because I can like force myself to do so, if that makes sense. Like I can say, okay, let's start at the beginning, and I'll play it from the beginning on, and I'll just have a good time. And if people are there, and I can talk to people about it in the stream, I'm gonna mess up. This tail's gonna take me a lot of attempts. Oh no, it's not. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Like if you play Kingdom Hearts 1 and you can see if you like it. Yeah, I think I should. It seems like fun. I also, the other thing is, whenever I see Mickey Mouse and stuff, I just think money. Like, money. I'm like, he's here to make the money. And that's a hard entry point for me. I'm not actually going to draw those spots. I'm going to make them towards the end there. But I've got our, like, officially line art, right? Yeah, I do. Nothing I truly honestly missed. I am going to go and check real quick what the write-up for this character is, because this is a commission. And I want to make sure that I get the key points of it correct. So let me see here. So, Komodo, lizard, element, fire, class, heavy. Description, Komodo are laid back for the most part, often spending their days soaking up the sun. Good luck trying to get it to do anything else. Color, I'm feeling copperish, orange, and some bluish silvers maybe. The inspiration comes from the color of super hot flames and flamed copper sheeting. Some have type stuff on the tail would be cool. Some lava type stuff on the tail would be cool. So we're going like, I'm thinking like a blue tongue skink type look, where they're blue and they have like the blue bellies, but they are ultimately like brown, but infusing that with that copper look. And I know that that's all written down. I'm just saying it in my own words so that I can refresh myself on it. Let's see. Well, I get it, but like I honestly love it when people talk about stories they love. I think it's exciting to see people get hyped about things, but choose something you think you'll like. Yeah, you know, I could end up loving it, and it could be my new thing. That is totally possible. I will say I love the art style, and I did have fun in Final Fantasy IV. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I have no reason not to. That's the thing. I have no reason not to give it a shot. I honestly love the lore of Kingdom Hearts. Like, it reminds me of FNAF theory crafting thing. The description says it's lazy. What about something in the eyes? Yeah, I like that. I think that's where we're going to keep the dark circles. Like, I thought, like, ooh, that'd be cool to have, like, a vibrant blue or orange. They had it as, like, dark circles. And I want to keep that. I am allowed to take some liberties, but I don't want to change the overall look. But I do think having something that makes it appear lazy, like, I have to keep that in mind. And not try to make it too energetic and exciting, right? So let's see here. I'm going to come to the colors. A copperish brown. I really want that blue to shine, but I also don't want that brown to be dull. I have to remind myself that, like, a lot of my art for this type of stuff comes from my inspiration with Pokemon. And there are characters, like, I always default to this, and I don't know why, but I always default to Cubone. Cubone is mainly brown, but doesn't feel boring. Kangaskhan is mainly brown, but doesn't feel boring. Tyrogue is a pinkish, grayish flesh color, but doesn't feel boring. It's simplistic. There is the right word. Yeah, I want to go simplistic. Like, even this feels a bit too lively. I want it to have that hardened exterior. So I'm actually going to do this. And then I'm going to maybe do a wash of, like, pinkish purple over the top. In, like, a 20%. Maybe a 10%. That feels right. Let's lighten it up just a scooch. I'm still on 10. Let's try 5. Lighten it up just a tad. Yeah, and then I'm gonna go in and make this blue. Blue. I keep wanting to make that blue, but I don't want it to be too vibrant. The latest Photoshop took away all of my shortcuts. Barndy? Do that. Let's come in here with, we'll do black. 20. I think you're right, Sentinel keeping that tiredness is going to be key. That laziness. Steal that color, make it our actual color. Feels right. Feels right. It keeps it tired. And I think that's the premise we're going for here. I actually don't like that gap in that line. Let's go. Let's go back. Do you have a rule or a way of thinking about line values? I really struggle with that. What I like to do with my line values is every time that I work on a canvas, I work on about the same size. I grew up with 8.5 by 11, just being allowed to draw on like printer paper. So I reference that by when I make my canvas, I set it to 8.5 by 11 or some system similar to that. Hey, the Grim Breaker, how's it going? Glad to see you following. Thank you so much for the follow. We're doing art requests. If you have a crazy request, let me know. I'm working on a commission right here until we get something fun that I'm gonna hop on over and do. but feel free. But for line values, a Sentinel. What is that? Oh, he lurk. For line values, what I try to do is I know that the outline is going to be darker, and that gives it almost this sticker quality. That's how I think about it. Is it gives it almost like a sticker quality. It allows it to stand out over the background that I have, and even if I go with a dark background, I try to outline it in white. Especially if I'm doing just kind of a standalone character. I finally come out of hiding. Well, we're glad to have you. What were you hiding from? Is it because you were aware that I live in your walls? I see you. I'm eating the drywall and bringing the property value down. Iridium knows. Been lurking for over 10 minutes. It's all good. So what I do is I have a 3-2-1 line value on this 8.5 by 11. The outer lines, as well as things like the arms that would overlap and be almost their own shape, I do a 3. So it has a 3 thickness. Things that are internal, stuff like the eyes, maybe the mouth, I would do it a 2 value. So I do 1 value lesser, and working on an 8.5 by 11, I'm really able to see the differences between those values without it becoming distracting. And then for things like the nostril, the lines that indicate that it is part of the shape, but it is a protrusion of the shape, not a new shape itself like an arm would be, I'll use the 1. For example, like down here on the knees, you can see I used a 1 to show that the knee is kind of fatty and overlapping the rest of the leg. If I were to use a 3 there, it would probably feel like it's its own shape. And I don't want it to be its own shape. It's a protrusion of that shape. I didn't get what you're talking about, man. Afraid the void doesn't have walls. Oh, you're one of them void boys. Alright. And he said he wanted this to have almost a lava type texture as well. I would need practice on determining that. Yeah, it's... I remember hearing something when I was younger. I don't know where I learned it from or heard it, but it was that one of the most painful things about being an artist is if you do something right, the intention is that no one will ever know. If you do something wrong, it's all anyone's ever going to see. So when I think that way, it helps me because if I draw something and I'm like, that kind of sticks out to me weird. You have to trust your gut. It sticks out to me weird. Like if I were to draw, like I said, if I were to draw this a little bit thicker and it sticks out to me weird, I'm the artist. I made that decision. And I'm looking at the whole thing as a process. So if it sticks out to me a little bit weird, I feel like it's going to stick out to everyone else a lot a bit weird, you know? So I take that time to go back and fix it. For example, here on the eye, I did that red, and it doesn't feel right. So, like, I have this inkling that it didn't work. So I'm going to go back and do white. And I actually like that a little better. I may go back and change it, but it's one of those things that for me, I see that red that I put in there, and up close, I had this thought, this intention with it. But once I backed away and looked at the whole, I had this little inkling that it's a little too intense. I need to dull the eye just a smidge. And I think if I feel that way, the person I'm drawing this for is going to feel that way tenfold. What if the walls were made out of ink? Oh, like that Mickey Mouse game that came out several years ago? What was it? I wanted that game, but I think I didn't have the system that it came on. Oswald is my favorite cartoon character. I went to Disneyland last year, and whenever I go, I wear my Oswald ears that I got myself back in 2016. And when we went this time, I wore my ears, and I had people coming up to me at all ends asking, hey, where'd you get those? Hey, where'd you get those? Hey, where'd you get those? And I kept telling them. I was like, oh, they're at this store over here. Oh, they're at this store over here. And eventually someone said, we were looking over there. They're not there. Come to find out, I'd accidentally bought like a collector's edition hat. So they no longer sold this item, and they were selling online for quite a bit of money. I didn't sell it, but I thought about it. Let's draw those spots. I want to bring this below here so I can kind of see where they're at. Because while I'm given some liberties, I don't want to take away from the concept, and if they have a very specific reason. If I can follow the guide and it doesn't feel wrong, I'm gonna, like this, putting spots doesn't feel wrong. Maybe I'll go in later and after I take away the sketch and look at it, and I'm like, that doesn't, like I said, you gotta trust your gut as an artist. Like, if I may look at it and say, that doesn't feel right, and remove something. We love Oswald. They had him for Chinese New Year 2 in Disneyland. Is it the Year of the Rabbit? Is that why? I'll have to double check. Well, let me think here. I have to think of, I know one of my brothers is Year of the Rabbit, so if he's turning a multiple of 12 this year. No, it couldn't be Year of the Rabbit then. Because it couldn't be Year of the Rabbit. Because I don't remember which brother is the rabbit, but neither of them are turning a multiple of 12 this year. One is turning 25, and one is turning 21. So it couldn't be. Maybe they're snake and horse. Perhaps they're snake and horse. Okay, so I've got this, which I really like. Almost has that Mud Skipper vibe, which I really like with that neon blue, but not neon, like not heavily super saturated. But I do want to also incorporate that orange. Make a new layer for it. Let's do this. Now that those lines are gone, grab that color from the eye, dull it just a scooch. And this is a whole new layer, so if I don't like it, I don't have to keep it. What am I on? 5? I know it looks funky. Just give me... Let him cook. Take the blue, take that out of there. Take away those dots that I just lovingly created. I don't know why I'm constantly forgetting that you guys are such huge Disney fans. And yeah, Oswald is... We need to talk about Oswald. Oswald is my boy. And let's actually... I do have to remember the pure strength that this like blending brush has on an 8.5 by 11, which is like, I can bring this to nothing. In fact, I think what I'm gonna do is take that same thing, bring it to a fuzzy brush. I don't know the actual names. And say, okay, okay, we're on the wrong color. And say, give me it all. Yeah. Best art ever. Thank you, Iridium. I appreciate that. Means a lot. There are a lot better artists. I know many of them. One of whom is actually watching this stream right now. His name's a Sentinel. So it makes me happy. I'm still waiting to see your art, Iridium. We've talked about it before. It will happen. No, I just do. This is the song that makes me think that I'm getting a lot of followers because it has audio that's similar to my alert.
Ah! Rude! What? That's what I was like, what do you mean?
Hey, let's skip this song because it's really off-putting.
Welcome, Raiders. Oh.
What is happening? Oh, another stream started. A Godoy. I have Twitch open, and someone I was watching, I think, ended their stream. How unprofessional of me. I draw for the lore of the story. I draw for fun. There's a drawing I should probably start finishing up on. We have a lot of artists on here. That's awesome. Love me my little artist community. actually come in here and what? We'll go there. It's not perfect, but only you and I will know that. We know Iridium can't draw at the moment. Still bummed out about it. Well, remind me, was it the tablet was being funny? Right? Is that what's going on? Gotta love communities full of artists. I really do. I actually have people that I know who are like, oh, I don't do artist communities. And they're not down for it because they're like, I only would feel bad about myself. I'm like, well, while I do get that, I think it's so powerful to have any group of like-minded individuals in that way. But at the same time, I think that it's nice to have people who kind of understand. Like, I could say, hey, I'm really struggling with this picture, and I think a lot of people would just say, oh, just do it, though. It's like, there's so much more to the concept of artist block or art block or whatever than just like, oh, you know what? I should just do it. What am I moping around about? Tablet just died. Well, iPad died. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. That does suck. I know how much it pains not being able to draw. It's that sucks. That's the end all be all of it. Is that sucks, man. All right, now my shading process is a very specific one, and what I just accidentally did is not it. There we go. Take this, do that. I like to I feel like when I darken something, just like by adding black to it, I want to up the vibrancy. And so that's what I do. I darken it by 25 and then I up vibrancy by 25. That way this doesn't feel like washed out. It feels darker. I've been joining some folks at work during lunch. They knit, I draw. It's been nice to be in that sphere. That's awesome. That's great. I don't consider artists to be just those who draw. I think it's great to have just a community of creatives, and in fact, I think it's more powerful to have a community of creative types than to say we're gonna be just one thing. It's been weeks and feels dead. It's been weeks and feels dead. Sorry, Iridium. That super duper sucks. I hope that it works out. I hope that something happens and it. Maybe you'll become one of those people who's like a professional video game player, but does so only on the Guitar Hero control. But you'll do that for like being an amazing drawer, and it's even more amazing because you're using just your mouse. That would be cool. I'd be down for that. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna grab everything, absolutely everything. I'm gonna think about where my light's coming from, and probably be coming from like up. That would be a nightmare. Yeah, no, I get that. Around that just a scooch more. This 20 feels wrong. I think it's because I don't have my pressure sensitive pen nibs. I just put a new nib on here because I was telling myself I didn't need to get a new tablet because that's money. But I do. So I replaced the nib of the pen hoping that would fix the problem, and it's not. It is not. I need a new tablet. But new tablet must wait for payday. Not made of money. I am. Not made of money? How would Yoda say it? Not made of money, I am. That feels right. Yeah, not made of money, I am. I'm struggling on these shadows, but it's gonna be as it is. I don't like that. How about that? That feels more right. Feels a little bit more dynamic. This is great. Thanks, a Sentinel. I appreciate that. I am struggling a little bit, so I'm glad to hear that it's coming across as goodness. See, because then I want to do like this, which undoes the work I just did to make sure that fit. But that's another rule that I once learned that I have to tell myself constantly. Sometimes you could work really hard on something, but the rules of the game that you chose to play by with your drawing, see, the thing you just worked really hard on is going to be kind of hidden. You got to be okay with it. So I'm going to be okay with it. Let's do that. I appreciate you guys coming in and chatting, by the way. I know it's hard for some people to get out there and chat and, you know, just be a part of that. So I appreciate it so much. You guys just being vocal and keeping me company means a lot. I'm one of those people who definitely needs outside source to generate happiness. Or to generate validation, I should say. And not saying like, oh, you know, blow smoke up my ass, but I am saying like it's nice to have people who can say like, that looks good, or even that looks bad. I'm down for that too. Truly love to keep you company, and I'm thankful for it. Thankful for it, Iridium. That's what I've come to love so much about Twitch is, you know, I have people who are like, you're just trying to become famous. I'm not. I am trying to help grow a community of people who like my stuff. And if people like my stuff, that's awesome. And if people are like, hey, your stuff sucks, that's great, because I'm glad that people are forming opinions. And I can block them. Figure out how to shade this head, because I don't know if I necessarily want to. I mean, the mouth is kind of square, so this should be what it is, but that also feels like it takes away a lot of the dynamic of the drawing, so I'm not gonna do it. What I am gonna do is go in and kind of do my other rule for these. I totally get it. Yeah, it's rough. It sucks. One of those things that sucks about being an artist. The Ken Sugimori shading method that I've figured out by following enough people on my Instagram is what he does with Ken Sugimori being the initial artist of Pokemon is he does this halfway erase, and despite the fact that this is obviously digital, it carries over that watercolor type feel. So what you do is you do I just messed it up. There we go. What you do is you come here and you do this type of thing. And then when I blend it, it blends those together, but you still get these hints that, like, it doesn't blend it all into one shape. I'll say that. It maintains an illusion. See, you can still see that this is clearly two sections, but you get the idea that it almost feels a little bit more painterly. Ooh, my hands. I may steal that. I need to work on my shading. Shading is so hard. It's not my favorite thing to do. Sometimes, like, this one is simple, and with that, I do like shading, but it's not my favorite thing to do. Now, what I do for these guys is, as well as doing the, like, darken and vibrancy balance, where, like I said, if I bring the darkness down, I bring the vibrancy up the same amount. What I also do is I like to bring this to 50%, duplicate, and change the underlayer to taking in more blue. I think it just gives it life. Rather than hiding in a shadow, it gives it a little bit more look. I like simple. Shading is the bane of my existence. Kind of like my shading to be sharp. Yeah, I get that. That's definitely a style. It's a style that I wish that I could fall back to. So my thing is, whenever I shade stuff and I shade it sharp, I do like the cell shading, where instead of being a gradient, it is that harsh line that people like Phil Barissa do really, really well with his stuff. Um, I feel unfinished. I know it could look good, and I know it does look good, and I've seen people utilize it to great success. But for me, when I look at it, it's hard for me to see in my own work it is finished with cell shading. And I always end up going over, and then I look at it, I'm like, it's good. You know, after I do like the gradients and I do the more realistic type shading type stuff and the little tricks and things, I look at it and I'm like, it looks good, but it's also not what I wanted. You know, it's like I want cell shading and I want to do it and I want to feel good about it, but I don't feel good about it. I get to the point where I'm like, I need to do one more thing. Looks great. This is why you trust the process. Yeah. I need to learn to trust the process a whole lot more, because I second guess myself a lot. You're about to see me do it again. The highlights I found the way that they do it kind of in Pokemon, and it is so much trust the process, because it looks terrible. You're gonna see it right now. It's like just kind of doing random lines. And they even like cut across in weird ways sometimes. But then it's like, once you pull that together, once you do the actual shading of it and the process of it, it's like, oh, I get it. That works. For me, I like to keep it sharp, because whenever I shade it like softer or fading looks so weird to me. Yeah, you have the opposite thing that I have. For me, it's when I do the gradients. And the thing is this, that I think I need to learn, and I don't know if you need to learn this, but it's a balance, you know? It's like, oh, I do this 24/7. This is how I shade every time. And that shouldn't be the case, because there are exceptions. You know, if I'm shading a ball, I don't necessarily want that harshness. I want something a little more fun. Like that barely looks like anything. But if I do 100, it feels weird. It's me in the middle. I'm digging it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. It looks like a Pokemon. I don't know if the person was wanting that, the person that I'm doing this for, but I know that they're a Pokemon fan. And like I said, this is the initial sketch. So this was our initial sketch. Was, you know, make it look something like this, color it, make it work. That was given, and they said, you know, kind of legitimize it with color and official line stuff. And so we did. Made a couple changes. I actually like their snout better. I'm gonna change mine. I like the snubby snout. Whoops. It feels more Godzilla-y. Where's you at? Yeah. I'm still on 50%. And I'll adjust the overbite in just a second here. We'll pop out, but so fun to be here. So glad you came by, Sentinel. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming by and sharing your thoughts and being a chatter. I'm gonna swap this. Oh, perfect. I actually erased that to just the right point. I much prefer the snubbiness. It makes it feel less lizard and more dinosaur. More it feels like Godzilla. I don't know if that was the intention, but it feels like Godzilla. And the snub nose makes it feel a lot more like Godzilla, so I'm appreciative. Pretty. I agree. I need to combine those before I destroy this drawing. Surprised Pikachu. Thank you. There we go. So there's that one. That one actually took me a little bit longer than I anticipated, but that's fine because I love it. I dig how this came out. Let me just go back and make sure that I got everything that we needed. Color, I'm feeling copperish orange, so I may change some of the color. And some bluish silvers maybe. Okay, so I see I got that bluish silver, I'm going to say, in that grayish color. The inspiration comes from the color of super hot flames and flamed copper sheeting. Some have type of stuff on the tail, would be cool. I like it. I don't know if it suffices specifically what they're asking, but I dig it, and I dig Surprised Pikachu. Gracie. So let's do that, and now we're going to move on to the next deck. This is the next one, and I love it. It's so sharp. So just like you said, Iridium, where you're like, I love sharp shadows, that's where I feel comfort. Sharp lines are where I feel comfort. Sharp, jagged lines are where I feel comfort here. So let's see, for this one we have, it's a light type, elemental type character. We're thinking dark grayish, steely blues with some off-whites. Kind of like a Siamese cat. Oh, I freaking love that. Cool, sharp Siamese cat. Let's do it. Yeah. I love that, because I was thinking like electric. Like, oh, it's going to be blues and yellows, but the fact that it's like so not what I was expecting, I dig. Let's do that. Let's make it so, Mr. Sulu. I'm going to round this out just a scooch. Definitely Pokemon. I don't want to say it is. I say that because I don't recall if the person said it was. I get a lot of commissions for like Pokemon likes. Things where people are like, hey, I'm working on a project that I want to be like almost as if it were a competitor to Pokemon, like Temtem. I didn't work on Temtem, if you know about it. It's like a creature collector game. But I was working on a similar project at the same time that was becoming a thing. I feel like right around that time, for some reason, Pokemon likes became a huge deal. It became massive. I think there was, I don't recall what year it was, but I think there could have been just like a very disappointing Pokemon game that came out, and so people were craving Pokemon. And so a lot of Pokemon likes came out, and I got a lot of commission jobs for that. I got a commission job at that time doing, I think the premise was 80 to 100 and some odd at least characters for this game that actually did come out. It came out on Roblox. And I had a ton of fun. I loved that. That, for me, is where I came to, like, okay, these are the type of clients that I need to get, is people who are big fans of Pokemon and interested in making their own game and utilizing that as a base or an inspiration. So that's where I kind of get nervous to call them, like, oh, it's a Pokemon. Because it's a similar style, but it may not be. It comes down to, like, in my opinion, the intention of the creator, and I'm not the creator. I am merely the hands. Which game was it? I may be able to recall it. It was called Bloxymon, if you know that. I say that because I actually asked the creator if I was able to share that I was the artist. I didn't know if it was a secret or not, because I signed some non-disclosures, but the game, they stopped updating it. So there's actually a ton of characters that I created for it that never saw the light of day until years later, which they're now on my portfolio. But yeah, for a Roblox game called Bloxymon, I did the design of, I want to say, 90% of the characters. I don't think it's wrong to say that I did that 90%. I think they came to me and said, here's our mascot that we designed, and here's 2 or 3 other characters to give you a flavor of what we're going for, and I designed the rest. I'm drawing eyes. Draw eyes. On paper. Ooh. I'm going to say this. I love my tablet. I don't know where I'd be without it. I draw so much better on paper. Like, that's just me, my opinion. I think that my stuff comes out better on paper. So I envy. Because I should draw on paper more often. But the truth is, since the tablet is so easily accessible, I often just come here. But in the times when my tablet's, like, been dead, or I didn't have this for a second. I don't remember why. For me, I'm the opposite. You feel better on the tablet than you do on paper? I get that. It's not me, but I understand it. But you go on. Why does the paper feel more, or why does the tablet feel more comforting to you? Out of curiosity. Again, not saying anyone's wrong. I'm gonna give you some thick legs and some little toes. There we go. Does that feel right? That feels right. Taking my liberties. When I'm given something like this, I don't utilize the okay, I'm gonna take my liberties on it, as you said I could very often. But there are little things when I'm like, this feels like a powerful creature. So I want to make the arms feel more powerful by making the toes and the feetsies just a little bit smaller. But that does feel too small. I did bring that leg down, so I'll maybe keep the feet the same size because the leg is so much more powerful. It's because I'm able to redo my mistakes. Being able to add effects and lighting in scenes, also being able to modify the line art a lot in fonts too. Yeah, when I got my tablet, I was the same. But what I did was I would draw it on paper, and then I would scan it in, clean it up, and color it there. Because again, at the time, I felt way more comfortable, way more colorful. I felt way more comfortable physically actually drawing it on paper. Oh, I completely forgot about these things, the spikes. Whenever I draw Fakemon, they always have spikes. Because like I said, I love the rigid, sharp, pointy look. So mine always have spikes. So I never forget the leggy and the feety spikes. Whenever I use paper, it feels so weird, lol. I guess because I can't do all this stuff compared on a tablet or iPad. You see, but for me, I don't know. For me, there's the tangibleness of paper. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I think that's completely valid. I think the tangibleness of the paper is what gives me the confidence. On here, I have a certain level of control, but the dot where my pen is will never be truly where my pen is. And I can't feel the push that tells me that I am doing something. You know? Whereas paper does. I was once interviewed on a podcast back when I was publishing comics more regularly. And one of the things brought up was where you got into comics and drawing and character creation. And I said, well, I got into it because when I was young, we didn't have a ton of money. So what I did was, if I wanted a Spider-Man toy, I would just draw Spider-Man on a piece of paper, and I would cut it out. And that would be my toy. Ooh, I don't know how this... Did he do... Okay, he did. I was like, did he draw specific lines for what this head's gonna look like? lines are gonna go. So I learned to draw. I got a little bit better at drawing. The more toys that I wanted, the more practice I got. And I had a friend whose parents had money, and so he always got the new toys. And so he'd get a new Spider-Man toy, or a new Batman toy. Well, I want a new Batman toy, so I'll make my own Batman toy. And I think for me, that's sort of like, there's this other type of connection for me to drawing on paper that kind of anchors me back to that. I told that on the podcast, and they were like, "What a sad story." And I was like, "Oh no, I didn't intend for that to be sad." And then I made friends later, and who were into comics and things like that. And after they heard that story, I actually got purchased by a friend of mine a actual Spider-Man toy. They heard that story and they bought me a Spider-Man toy, and it was very sweet. It was like the toy that I never got as a kid. Yeah, it was really cool. It was I still have it. It's actually like right above me here. I have you can't see it, but I have a whole shelf of toys and books and references and things. I have like a Wolverine and some Deadpool toys. I actually don't like Deadpool. Deadpool is my least favorite pop culture thing. And I do have reasons for that. But it's mainly the fans of Deadpool. But I have all sorts of stuff. I have 2 Baby Yoda toys up there. I have Star-Lord's helmet, which is really, really cool. I'll have to bring it down on stream sometime. But it's Star-Lord's helmet, and it actually does collapse around your head, and it has Bluetooth inside, so you can actually listen to music inside, and the eyes light up. So it does most of the stuff that Star-Lord's helmet does. I think it's really, really cool. It's not a collector type piece. It's just a really cool toy that I have. I used to have Thor's hammer, but it broke in a move. It was like a life-size Thor's hammer, and I would often twirl it because it was balanced like an actual like weapon. So I would twirl it, and it would always come back down with the handle in my hand. And when we were moving, a friend was looking at it and was like, "Do you mind if I try that?" And I said, "Sure, that's fine," and they didn't catch it. Yeah. And I think they even said, like, "I'll replace it." And I said, "It's okay, they don't make them anymore." It's okay. Toys come and go. That's sad. Yeah, it's sad. But it's okay. I get new toys. It was cool. A lot of those things I get because they're cool and in the moment. And then later I'm like, I don't really... at the time I wasn't a huge Thor fan. I was after Ragnarok came out. But at the time, I was like, Thor's kind of alright. Thor is an Avenger, so he's got to be cool in some aspect. And it was before the coolification of Thor, so... So, you know. But yeah, that Star-Lord helmet's probably one of my favorite toys. What else do I have? I've got a couple autograph things. I have a Deadpool bobblehead that's autographed by Rob Liefeld, who, if you don't know, he's the creator of Deadpool. I've got some inbox Square Enix toys. Batman, designed by Square Enix. Square Enix or Kai? It's Kai. I also have a toy that is... I'll have to do a stream where I show off some of my toys. I have one that is so Kai Arts at the time, who does a lot of those really big, really cool action figures, they do not have the rights to Carnage. So what they did was they did a limited edition or limited run of Venom Red. So it was like, oh, it's a variant Venom in red, very clearly Carnage. I'll show you on stream sometime. Very, very clearly Carnage. but they weren't allowed to say that. Is that something that viewers would be interested in? I'll have to do a poll on the Discord or something. To ask, like, are people interested in a toy stream? Where I just show off my toys. I love my toys. It might be cool. Maybe I'll do it alongside something else. You know, not its own stream, but alongside something. I don't like that line on the tail. Make that a little bit more solid. Maybe I'll add something in a moment to separate it out, but for the moment I'm not gonna do that. I dig. Let's see here. Gucci gang. Alright, they said like a Siamese cat, so I'm just gonna go for it. Like, I want to find a brown that I really like. Pretty warm. I like that. What I've seen artists do who are drawing Pokemon or Pokemon type characters is they'll sample colors, so they'll actually go and grab, like, this would be great to grab like Meowth, and they'll sample the colors from it. But if anything, I feel like that is kind of cheating. So we're gonna do that. We'll get into sleepies. They're coming over me. There we go. Like, what do we think of that? Let's see what we think of that. Let me know in the chat. I'm gonna do something here. Is that good, or should I inverse it? Because my first thought was putting the brown on the larger sections, but I think, am I just doing that because dark Pokemon are cool? Or am I doing that because that fits the vibe? Like, I don't know. Maybe invert it and see how it looks. Invert. Oh, that's cool. I should have done that. That was dumb of me, because now I really like that. Alright, you bring up an excellent point. Let's invert it so we can actually see. So, here's what we're gonna do. Grab all these. And I'm gonna grab that and that little piece and that. It feels like a dog. Between this and this feels like a dog. I don't know why. I can't explain it. And this feels like a cat. And it is a cat. So it's gotta feel like a cat. So we'll call this number 1. And we'll call this number 2. We've got 5 viewers. Feel free to voice your opinion. Again, this is number 1. Do we like number 1? Or do we like number 2? Again, 1, 2. One, 2. If I can be frank, I'm kind of partial to 2, but I like both. So we'll have to see what ends up being of those 2. Dumb. 1, 2. What does 1 look like again? Here's 1. It's growing on me. I like 2. 1 is growing on me the more that I look at it. But here's my thing. 1 doesn't... Its colors don't match that of a Siamese cat. So I think I'm going to go with number 2. Because number 2 does feel more Siamese cat. Siamese cats are off-white. So I think I'm going to do that. I think that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be on 2 unless someone audibly, like, screams. Like, no! It should be number 1! So feel free to scream. Pink nose? We'll find out in just a moment. Because the eyes I want to do with this dark and... I've got a cough building up. I want to do a little bit darker on the eyes, make them pap. But I may want to carry that into the nose as well. I may want to leave it be its own thing. But let's make them eyes pap. I like that. Let's erase number 2 for now. And they pop so much that I don't want to mitigate them by putting them also on the nose. And pink nose, dark eyes. Let's see if I can even get it a little... Yeah. And Siamese cats actually have, very often will have blue eyes. These piercing, beautiful blue eyes. My cat has these beautiful blue eyes. And I want to carry that over. Because that's my own little thing. How is that? That pink and blue. It looks like a very fierce house cat. And I think that's what I'm going for. It looks like a very fierce house cat. And I do feel like that's what I'm going for here. A part of me wants to go to the feet and be like, okay, we'll put the same dark brown color on the feet as well. But I also really like that it's so simple. It feels like if it were a Pokemon, like it's a Gen 1. You know? Stuff wasn't super overly designed. Stuff was just allowed to exist. I'm not saying that newer designs are terrible. Some of them are. I'm saying there was a time in Pokemon when a design could be left alone. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Just the idea that, like, hey, here's Geodude. He's a pile of rocks. And it wasn't like, okay, but what else? Like, what can we add to that? It's like, he's a pile of rocks. What more do you need? Maybe I'll put him on the tippies. Does the tippies work? Are we happy with the tippies? More. Give me more rocks. Can never have enough piles of rocks, I always say. Or like Muck. It was like, what is he? He is a pile of slime. Okay, but like, what's the deal with him? He is a pile of slime. The more the better, you say. Add more. Give me more mud and slime. How dare you limit me on my mud and slime intake? Let's see. This was in the initial, but I'm gonna remove it. It feels weird just being there. Yeah, it feels like a wild cat. I love that. It still has that Persian cat look, but it does also feel like a fighter, like a wild animal, You know what? I'm gonna do both. Because it's a commission, and if I can do both and provide someone with options, I want to. Congrats, stream, you've swayed me. It was a trick question all along. Let me see. Yeah. Yes. Also, being honest, I was supposed to finish this commission a while back, and I didn't. So anything I can use to help smooth that over, I am down for. This Pokemon creature reminds me of ice cream. Makes me want ice cream. I have ice cream. I'm going to get ice cream after the stream. And you can't have any.
Sit.
You know, listen to one of those songs that has words in it. It sounded like Flapjack from the Fabulous Misadventures of Flapjack. Does anyone remember that show? Do you remember the Flapjack show? I do. I love Flapjack. Absolute nightmare fuel. And it was fantastic. It was absolutely my jam. I love that show. Such a good show. Oh, for certain. It was my jam. I love Flapjack. It came about in an era of... Oh, check this out. Me? Yeah, broke. It came about in an era for Cartoon Network, at least. And possibly other networks, I don't recall. My pen's being crazy, cuckoo crazy banana pants. Where it was a lot of like experimentation. And I was super down with that, with like the idea of like, hey, we're gonna throw whatever at the wall. Here is Flapjack. Tell us what you think. And it was like, this is terrible. Give me more. You know, like it wasn't like they didn't. Cartoons today, I think, play it safe a lot. I'll say that. I think that they play it safe a lot with like, this show is clearly going to sell and clearly going to be profitable. Sure, take however much money you want, and then shows that it's like, this is questionable, or we don't know how profitable this will be. Rather than, hey, just take a little bit less money and let's work it out. It's no thank you. You know, so we lose out on a lot of that experimental stuff. Honestly, yeah, they and newer shows never get the freedom of what they want to do. Yeah, like a lot of shows, I hear these horror stories from other shows where it's like, you know, hey, why did this season happen? Why did this get cut short? Why did that? It's like, because the network didn't want it anymore. Because the network said, because there's just all this meddling of money, of, hey, I have this concept, it's a little out there, what do you think? I think we don't want to risk it. And it's like, oh, you know, you lose out on so much good stuff because of that. And you know, the good thing about Cartoon Network, at least, is most of the stuff that's good goes to Adult Swim. It's like, hey, that's a little weird, that's a little, you know, risque, we don't know. Put it on Adult Swim. Like, they have that luxury. So we still get it in a lot of ways. It's just, it feels like there's less care given to it by the studio. Do this, do that, do that, do this. Little shading tricks as we do. The good thing about doing it this way is, and the reason that I'm feeling comfortable doing two, is because the shading, the line art, and the highlights are going to exist either way. I don't have to do those twice. Yeah, is it sad? Yeah, it's sad, honestly. Like, the stuff that we miss out on because it's just a little too weird, you know? It's saddening. It makes me sad. Drop this one to some blue. Oh, you know what? I disagree. Here's what I'm going to do. We have the opportunity of fur here. I'm going to take it. And then my pen's going to die. That's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I thought was happening. My pen was getting stuck down. Pen number 2. It's always right around this time that the pens start to die. But we have the opportunity of fur, and I'm not going to squander it. Especially not by keeping this at 50%. Let's experiment with this a little bit. I just want to see. I may not keep this, but I just want to see. I'm down for it. Let's do it. Whole thing in half. I thought I said 100. I don't know if this is gonna work, but we're gonna try it. I'm at least willing to try it. No. Nothing, none of it. We're gonna play it safe. Which I know it probably isn't fun, but on something that's not a commission, I think we'll try it. But for this one, I do want to, because it's for a client, and they're getting 2. They can deal. They're getting a free one. Shape when it's being transformed. Oh, that's fine. No, you're good. I get it. It is. Trust me, I get how hard it is to talk while drawing. You're good. And I'm doing it with my mouth. You're doing it with, like, your hands, with typing. So, I get it. You're good. Take your time. Do our wiggly wavy highlights. I'm not gonna put one there. I'm gonna put one right here though. The darker pattern on. so I can kind of see what I'm working on here. I swear I'm not satisfied with the eye shape. It's hard. Eyes are hard. No artist is gonna tell you otherwise. No one's gonna come across saying eyes are easy. Eyes are hard. One of the hardest things to draw. It's like eyes. It's so cliche. Eyes are the window to the soul, but they are. If you don't get them right, you can tell that something's wrong. So take your time. Make them work in a way that you're comfortable with, because that's how we tell that your character is alive, right? I want to make sure that I clear up all the outside lines. I dig. One thing though that I forgot. I forgot the feeties. I forgot the feeties. There we go. There we go. There we go. Let's see here. Just doing one thing real quick. During Crash, please refrain from spanning symbols. Don't, robot, stop. Don't be a robot like that. Okay, you're being a robot. Not down for it. This is why AI is not trusted by me. And you know what? I think with that, robot is being sus. I think with that we're gonna call it a night, guys. I know it's a little bit early, but my throat is killing me. Like I said, I've been out. I went to a wedding on Friday. I've been on the phone a lot, and yeah, Then I spent the night talking, so I appreciate you guys for coming. Iridium, thank you so much for being available, for chatting and hanging out. Thank you to a Sentinel for coming by, for Grim, for that follow that we got earlier in the stream. For everyone. Am I missing anyone who came by and chatted and said, hey, what's going on? I said a Sentinel. I said, yeah. Just thank you. I appreciate you, and I hope that you feel that. Hey, what I'm going to do is, let's do this. We're going to go and we're going to raid a channel. It's a new thing that we're trying. We're going to give it a go, and we're going to have some fun. So I will see you guys tomorrow for another stream. Same bat time, same bat place. Appreciate you.